Welcome to the So Far So Rare podcast. This week I speak with an OG of the platform, Mark. He's been on since 2019. He has an absolutely outstanding gallery. We talk about loads of stuff, but the big thing this week is that So Rare increased the rewards in their casual league by like 33 times. There's now 100 rewards, which is great for people who want to sign up and play for free. So look, I hope you enjoy the episode. Please do like this video and subscribe to the channel. Mark O'Sullivan. Markelele, handsome Northern Irishman from the north of Ireland. I don't know which one to say. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very, very good. Slightly sunburnt from last weekend. Being outside, lying in the sun a wee while, but apart from that, I'm all good.
Did you get absolutely fried? Did you get
fried?
I
got fried completely. I had to take shelter the last couple of days.
That bad?
Yeah, it wasn't great. So,
and like Michael Jackson with the umbrella in the sun, like.
Exactly. Yeah, I was only out for about 2 hours, and I was just like, "Oh no, this is not good." So
yeah. But, no, fair play. I haven't got fried. I've been stuck in work, and it's been pissing rain, which is kind of what I want when I'm stuck in work. You know.
Yeah.
And then when you come out of work, and it's even like today, this little room is like a little hot box because it's like 17, 18 degrees, which to everyone who's international will be like, "That's not warm." We're in Ireland, bitch. That's warm.
That's like tops off weather.
That's tops off. Like, you know, yeah, like get the sun cream out. Yeah.
Barbecues. Sun's out and all that.
Exactly. There's no sausages on the shelves at the minute. There's no burger buns. You know what I mean? But Mark, look, you were on. I actually don't know when the last time you were on was, but you know, we probably have some new listeners since then. For anyone listening, you've been on since 2019. At the end of October. You have, I said it whenever I announced this, like you have some of the nicest cars out there. Like in my opinion, I love a few of your guys. I'm an under 23 guy. I'm like, you've got Uniques in Jeremy Doku, Yari Versharan. You have a load of other ones, but like those two and Noah Lang, and I even have the Super Rare Sugawara, and you've the Unique kind of stand out. You also have some beautiful Super Rares. You've obviously got the Donnarumma is probably the biggest one. Maybe you'll disagree. You've got a Darwin, who's obviously kind of topical. Akoi is going to be a huge under 23 goalkeeper next season by the looks of it. You've got some crackers basically. How's it been since we last spoke?
Honestly, I think since we last spoke, I probably was hoping I'd win a lot more rewards than I did. I think that was really down to the lottery when it comes to injuries and players getting rotated. For large periods of last season, Doku was out injured. He's kind of been known as like a hype boy now because he's got all this hype about him whenever he comes back. And he'd play away like 2 games or 3 games, and next thing he'd be off injured again. So I really, really hope that next season is going to be his year. He's going to like break out and do big things for Ren, and fingers crossed less injuries. So that's what I'm hoping
for. Whenever I met you earlier in the year, end of last year, I think that was around the time he was at his hypiest. Did he have a really good performance for Belgium and kind of everyone was talking about Doku, even the casuals, and then things went downhill?
I think that was the moment where he scored perhaps on his debut, or he scored in the second game he was playing. And I was sitting there like, oh my goodness, this is it. This is his time. He's going to just skyrocket now. And then there's an injury. You know, it's out for most of the season after that, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I think it was just my key guys. I never got like a run of form where all of them were playing at the same time. And with that, like it's quite hard to capitalize on the players I had to really deliver me some really good rewards. So it was quite unfortunate in that regard.
Yeah, I'm just looking back there. Like it might have been there was a game that won 8-0 against Belarus where he got a goal and 2 assists, but I feel like winning against Belarus mightn't have been the one. Maybe it was, because otherwise we're looking at last season. He played really well anyway. It's been really unfortunate. Even like Noah Lang hasn't maybe been the Noah Lang of the previous season. A couple of your uniques haven't maybe done what you would have hoped. And I don't know how your Super Rares went, but I mean, even Versharan was out for long periods. George Bello got a horrible transfer. Astor Franks didn't do much at Wolfsburg. I mean, I'm an absolute magpie. I got a bit of a balance. I sold the Rafael, or not the Rafael, sorry, I haven't sold him yet. The Rodrigo, and I'm going to tell everyone about it every week. But I sold the Rodrigo, and on that balance, I've went out on a wee shopping spree. So I'm an absolute magpie. It's taken everything in me not just to spend it on all the other 23s that are speculative. Do you think, like, your gallery, has your opinion changed in any way in terms of who you'll buy? Like, have you learned anything over the last year in terms of the speculation on under 23s? Is there any regret? Is it not? Do you just think that's part and parcel of the risk you take? like you've got some of the biggest cards on the platform, and arguably they haven't gone to plan yet, but your patience is still there, I assume. Like, what's your take if I throw that at you?
Yeah, so I think over the course of the season, what I was mainly aiming for was Division 2 and the Super Rare division. And I feel like, me and you were very similar in that approach. We thought like Super Rare is probably the best approach for us to go in, get another Super Rare reward and sort of sell them on, build up the gallery. But with the rewards still kind of lacking in that division, and they're still not that great, and you do win better rewards in the Rare Pro. Towards the tail end, I started looking more so at the Rare Pro, and then throwing together a team if I could with the one unique, perhaps Noah Lang. I'd rather use Noah Lang instead of Jeremy Doku because Doku was injured. Yarva Sharman's injured a spell as well. I felt like Lang was the only person I could sort of rely upon from all my unique cards. But the only major highlight I think I got this season was I did win Darwin Núñez, which is a huge win for me. So I picked him up around about November time, which is massive. But apart from that, all of my wins recently weren't really massive names. I think the only guy that I'm really looking forward to seeing next season is Rami Ben Subanini or something. Yeah, I'm terrible at pronouncing names like it's rubbish. But he's on the move, of course, to Dortmund. So fingers crossed.
Did he go to Dortmund?
I heard he did, yeah. So I think he's picked up I'm not sure if it's a free transfer or whatever, but
he's a left back, is he? And he's on penalties.
Yeah.
He's left back. I don't know. I know he's a wing back. I think he's a left back. He was on penalties. He did pretty well at Mönchengladbach, so you'd assume Dortmund. I mean, they had trouble there with like Nico Schulz, didn't they? He didn't really fit in. And what happened, Guerrero? Did he push further up, or was he injured or something? Why wasn't he nailed down?
Wasn't really sure about Guerrero, but I know like another signing to that back line is a Slaughterback, so he's coming in from Freiburg. So like the chances are like maybe Dortmund's going to be a lot more solid next season, and that's going to help me massively as well for like giving me more options in terms of All-Star. When it comes to Champion Europe, it's not one of these divisions I have like a lot of star players in. Usually it's just because it's like one of the most expensive divisions to buy players for. So a lot of my cards would be more challenger based rather than anything else.
Yeah, I'm looking there, and I think like you have had like a few wins, but I suppose like based on the uniques that are there and the under 23s that are in it, it has been maybe a slow finish. The Darwin's obviously huge. I think that Maduka Coil bit was that maybe at the end of last season.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Coil and the Donnarumma
possibly it was at the start of the season.
They were in around then. I think they're really good cards for next season. I think the Milan Van Uyk's a nice card you won as well. But I suppose like you're not really, again, there aren't many like rare rewards there, so you've been really targeting that D2, maybe a bit more towards Rare Pro, as you were saying. Do you not really enter many in the rare divisions, or how does that work?
So with me, I've really went top heavy. That was my investment plan from the very start. Try and pick up the uniques, the super rares, and try and win rewards and sort of filter my way down. Obviously, the threshold division, D4 Global All-Star is a great division to be in because you can continually pick up that ETH, and that would help me like sort of get replacement players if I need them. Obviously, looking at rewards the past season, it hasn't gone to plan too well. I think that just comes from like more teams being licensed, so there's more options, more better players, and perhaps the ones I did have, which were only rewards, perhaps a season and a half ago, are just not the same standard anymore. And I do have this, probably one of my biggest reluctance or biggest problems I have is holding on to players for too long. I'm not one to like quickly sell and try and replace them and capitalize in terms of SO5. I'm really just happy just like hold on to players and wait for them to actually start turning into form. Or maybe get like a move somewhere. So and that's probably cost me. I probably should have been selling quicker and trading a lot more, and my ETH probably could have done like way more in terms of SO5 performance.
Yeah, it's one of those that it's like it's all variation, isn't it? Like it's hard. It's easy to say that now in hindsight, but I mean, like I've been guilty, particularly with Doku, and I think Doku and Lang, in particular, probably your two biggest cards are the ones that like flatter to deceive in terms of. When they're on the pitch, they are very exciting, and they're both in teams that they can do well in if they play. Their games do suit the matrix. So, like, I couldn't blame you for maybe finding it a hard time to sell them or move on, and they might even be who you're referencing. Maybe there are other players like Sugawara had a hot patch. Maybe he could have been moved on, but like I think like the game, it isn't like that horse is run yet. Like it's still kind of mid race. There's some big moves that could happen if Doku sorts his injuries out. He'll break that matrix, and it like maybe sometimes patience can be a blessing as well. We don't really know yet. This time next year, you could be turning around and saying, geez, thank God I held on to them. I nearly sold them because they were doing shite. So it's really impossible to know with like speculative under 23s. But like, yeah, I think it is interesting because the kind of top-down approach, shooting for the stars and trickling down, is almost how Sorare is built. It's almost better than the kind of progressive way of trying to play it, coming in limited, going up the rares, up Sorare. That'll take you forever. If you have the budget, coming in high and trickling down and filling up always seems to make more sense.
Yeah,
maybe it
I kind
as
of,
easy as it.
I definitely felt like the time when I joined, because there wasn't so many other players playing, I was able to pick up players like way more cheaper than they are nowadays. And with prices going up all the time, as more and more players join in, you've got more people competing with you at auctions. So it makes it like a lot harder nowadays, and that's only just going to escalate as Sorare grows and gets bigger and more players join. So even nowadays, I sort of look at the unique market. I'm sort of like, unless I sell like a lot of my cards and I'm trying to save them up, maybe I have to sell like a quarter of my gallery to get like a star unique card. I don't even know if I could get a star unique card. I even sell them with my gallery. So
yeah,
that way I'm just happy just to go through, pick up what I consider bargain super rares or bargain rare cards. And more recently, I've sort of been diving into limiteds just for the specialists and the underdog leagues. I thought that was an excellent idea, and it's really picked up my interest. And even within that time frame of maybe like I think it's only been a couple of months of like really diving into that market, you can see like how much more liquid that market is, where I can buy a player and within like 2 weeks I'm ready making 0.002 profit, whatever, in terms of ETH. So it's really quick. And they seem to really favor like the last five in terms of player performance. So if you've got somebody who's played really well in the last 5 games, you're going to see a huge increase in their value, which is good.
Yeah, I think like because I've kind of predominantly dealt with rares. I've been buying a good few limiteds recently, and I was really surprised. Not surprised, but like I knew there was more liquidity there, but I think it still does surprise me how tightly like the price can hug the floor, or like the floor can hug like last sales compared to rares, where people are always 30, 40%, 20% above the last sale, and you're always trying to be like, look, lad, you're asking for too much. Whereas at limited, there's just so much downward pressure of people undercutting each other that it always feels like you can get a good deal. But recently, after that Rodrigo sale, I'm trying to get these guys under 23 who are like, I'm trying to go like semi-premium, like decent scorers, and it's so hard. Now, it's one thing whenever you're going and doing what I've always done and buying dodgy guys who no one really wants whenever they're out of form. Like picking up Per shares when he isn't playing isn't the problem. Grabbing Kamal Suleimani when he's injured, no issue. Adil Ashish, sure, he's getting relegated. Picking those guys up, no one cares. See, when I was trying to get like the Zion Fleming, I got quite lucky with him because it was an auction and Plastician basically FOMO'd into it and then half regretted it and basically gave me it for the price he paid to get his ETH back. And then Umar Soled I got today. But I'm finding like in these premium under 23s at that level, never mind unique, which is where you're talking about, and I would love a unique. It's actually like really hard. You have to be so patient. It's not like rare or limited where you want a guy, I'll get him in a day or two or even minutes at limited. If you want him at super rare unique, you might have to sit. If it's a premium player that people want to use, unless you want to pay over the odds, you're going to be sat in your hands just waiting for weeks, probably more.
Yeah. And that's the thing with like the limited supply as well. Like if there's only 10 of them ever available, or you're working, it's the very first year of them being on Sorare, like it might be coming to the tail end of the season, there's still only like 7 of them available. And you might have like, if they're really good, the managers who have those like maybe 7, they're not going to want to sell them. They're just going to be like, no, mate, you're going to have to pay like over the odds here, because if you buy him, you're going to be competing directly with me. And that's where it's quite challenging. Like I did see that you had your gallery reviewed, and I definitely feel like what they were encouraging is like, dive into Rare Pro, which is kind of where I'm looking now. I kind of feel like I have like a couple of standout super rare players which I can use in under 23s. Vitor Ferreira, who I've used for the cover image for today. A great player, really helped me last season for a couple of game weeks and secure some rewards. So he's one of my super rares. Darwin Núñez as well. Fingers crossed he'll do well if he gets a transfer. But that sort of leaves me in this sort of like position with Darwin Núñez. He's really like hyped up at the minute. He's played amazing for Benfica. And now I've got this sort of moment where I'm like, do I cash in on this rumor and just wait for him to like, oh, this move to Liverpool or Manchester United is now confirmed, could be at his peak. And then the following season, he might not be playing. He might be just a bit part player at Manchester United or Liverpool. And then I could use those funds to buy like a replacement player of a similar sort of mold for forward super rare. But it's definitely tough. And even like trying to buy the elite tier players for rare cards, like you're looking at Mbappe going for like 12 ETH for a rare. And those are like similar price ranges. If you're looking like Vinny Jr., I think he's around Vinicius Jr., he's around about 8 the last time I looked at him.
8?
But I think he was. Maybe I remember that incorrectly.
I haven't pegged around 4.5, but like it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, he's got one at 4 ETH there, 4.1 ETH.
4 ETH. Okay, not quite that high just yet. Yeah, but I managed to get like a Jota, and I thought like I was really, really nervous whenever I picked him up. Jota, he plays for Celtic, so that was around about January time, and I paid like 1 ETH, and I remember like sitting after I paid that money, and I was like, damn, like, oh, like is it going to pull off for me, and like is he going to like stay there in Celtic? That was my biggest fear. And I think it was only like a couple of weeks later, it was like there's all this hype about Celtic being out. I was like, please don't be at it. Like I want to have like limited supply.
Yeah.
So it means like if he's doing really, really good, there's only going to be like another 20 of them like available. And I'm like, nah. Like you're going to have to pay like 3.5 ETH, a little bit less than Vinicius Jr. But that would be a nice sweet profit for me, like 3x my return, which would be good. But he's like doubled his value since I picked him up. So I feel like it's going well, and I hope he can retain that value. I hope he does sign permanently for Celtic because that'll help me out big time. So
I'm looking at your gallery, and like you have some beautiful cards across it, right? But when I just look at it, I think like the most jealous position I have of you is like under 23 goalkeepers, particularly like super rare. I think you've almost got like the 3 meta ones that people are looking at for next season. You've Donnarumma, Okoye, and then Lafont maybe to a lesser extent. I know Van der Vaart. Like super rares and those guys, you could probably sell one of them. You probably don't need them all, and then like
But for me, like looking at Donnarumma, I've debated about this ever since like the day I got him, and I thought like, okay, I can use him in my. That's whenever I was back playing Unique Division. I thought, okay, I can walk in with him. One other super rare, which would be my defender. Most of the time it was Milan Van Ewig. And then from that, I was playing Doku, Lang, and Vasharan, who at the time when they were playing, it was a really good combination. But nowadays, I'm of the opinion like his price is so high, I can just think of like how many different players I could pick up with that amount of ETH. Like, see, 10 ETH. So I'll hand it over to you today, John. Here's 10 ETH. What players would you buy in terms of like a rare pro? You could get the Vinicius Jr., who's setting the world on fire at Real Madrid. He's playing for Brazil as well. But whenever I look at Donnarumma, like he's still what is he now, 23? Yeah, so 23. He's got like a full more year of like under 23s eligibility, and he's also the #1 goalkeeper for Italy. So when it comes to World Cup games, like straight away, I don't have to think twice. If I have like enough other super rares or rares, I can enter a pretty strong super rare or rare pro team. So that's
I hear you. I think like what I quite literally did, I had 9 ETH to play with, and I got the Zion Fleming, I got Umar Solet, and I've got 4 ETH left to play with. And I'm thinking, like, it's funny, it's almost serendipitous. Like, I have 4.1 ETH in the balance, and a Vinicius is 4.1 ETH. But like, I think I want to hold out and maybe get like a midfielder super rare, because at the minute I think going into next season, I have a lot of could be maybes. Like a few like, oh yeah, that might work, or he could turn out okay. Like Tonali has his weeks, and I'll play the fixtures. Yeah. Outside that, Palacios from Leverkusen finished the season strong, but God knows what it'll be like next year. For Sharon, who knows? Kulusevski was just playing out of his skin. Who knows? Kakare was getting a bit more AA in his game before he got injured. Maybe he comes back in and plays well. Then outside that, there's a few more, even more speculative ones, but like none of them are like
Guaranteed.
Oh yeah,
You close your
Vitor
eyes and like
Ferreira.
he's in every single time. Yeah, I
No
get what
matter
you're
who he
saying.
plays, he's a 75, he's a 60. Do you
Yeah.
know, there's none of them. So it's a bit more like I'll be playing the fixtures with him. And I don't even know if 4.5 ETH is enough to get a player like that at super rare under 23. But
Are you
real
looking at Joey
problems, eh?
Veerman? I think Joey
He's too
Veerman.
much. He's the man. He is the man,
He
but he's
is.
just
He
too
is the
much.
man because like whenever you look at everyone else, he's like potentially on that list of them, maybe top 10, top 20 midfielders in Sorare at the minute in terms of under 23s. And you sort of think, okay, a lot of these guys could be on the move. Gedson Fernandez is another one. He's going to be playing for Besiktas. He's one of the most dominant teams in Turkey. You sort of figure this guy, he has to do well if he's going to be starting. But I think a lot of the other players, they've got potential to be moving. So if I had like 10 leads sitting there and I needed like a rare midfielder, Joey Veerman would be the one I'd be looking at and like, okay, he's gonna keep delivering, Mr. Reliable for me. So
Do you know what? Everyone's going to laugh, right? But I'm looking there at Fernandez's price, and I already have a rare. Now, there's no super rare on the market. There's only 8 of them that exist. It might be tough to get one. And
what's
I know it's
this?
a bit more spec. Get some Fernandez.
Gedson Fernandez, okay, yeah.
But it's a bit more speculative, maybe because he is moving team and where he fits in and whatever else. But like when you look at him compared to like the prices that some of the best under 23 mids have been and are, like when you look at the Veerman, when you look at what Kochu was at certain stages last season, when you look at different players like that, like he has 3 cards in and around 1.18, hugging that's the floor, 1.18 ETH. I mean, like I don't know what he's last sold for at rare. What's he sold for? 0.95. Now this is where John is. I'm not going to do this, but I just wish I had like the stones. Like I could just go. You could just go and sweep the floor. You could literally just go buy the 3 of those guys, list them all for 1.8, and just wait.
Yep.
The Geds and FOMO was starting. Everyone's talking about him. His scores were obscene at a shocking team, and he's going to a more dominant team. Like I don't know, just sweep the floor.
I feel like I should probably be quiet because for me, like I'm going to be honest, he's one of the players I'd be looking at, and like if I need an extra player as a backup, he's one of the guys I was going to like really consider bringing in. And I'm the same opinion. Like whenever you see a player in that sort of price range, and you're like, come on, he's going to a better team. If he plays anywhere close to the way he was playing last time, consistently in that starting 11, you must be thinking, yeah, this is a no-brainer here. But like I'm in the same situation. I've seen about like I've got like about 2.5 ETH in my balance at the minute. I'm waiting. So my problem with Rare Pro at the minute, I've got the OKE goalkeeper for goal, so he's rare. My big he's like a huge like turning point in my team because if he does not play for Watford, I'm absolutely ruined because I got him in the rare, I got him in the super rare. It's like I've got so much faith in him, and like his price is going, boop, 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 boop. It's going like way up there, and I'm like, oh yeah, like this is going good, you know. And then that could come to the new season, and if Watford starts with someone else, like all my hopes and dreams are just going to come crashing down.
Shattered. I hope they sign someone like Kiko Casilla.
Oh,
just some shitter, some 36-year-old to come in and give the young cub some experience.
Yeah. And my only backup for that is Stefan Bajic, who I've heard is going to be going to a League 2 French team. That does not help me.
No.
I have 2 of his cards. His price is now hitting the shitter as well. So, yeah, I've lost value there. Martin Pais, who plays for FC Dallas. So I could use him all the way down to like November time. But after that, I'm kind of like, you know, a bit stuck. But for me, yeah, my point of what like I need to do before the season starts and where I'm going to be looking out in the next couple of weeks and months is I need a good rare under 23 player, and so I'm constantly monitoring the market at the minute, trying to debate who to go for. And I seen you picked up the Solette, and I was like, maybe I should go for the rare version as well. So
yeah. So it's tough. It's tough out there. Like you mentioned something, Mark, and I want to segue on because we have a few talking points. But you mentioned about Bajic going to a League 2 French team.
Yes.
This is a perfect segue. Did he actually play for Saint Etienne?
Yes, he did.
So this is the perfect segue. Dear God. League 2, Saint Etienne are there, and they've renewed with Sorare for 5 years. And this has led to about 5 seasons. And that's a long-term contract, which is brilliant to see. But it's a relegated club in the second division of French football. They're not going to mint the NFTs, are they? They've probably just extended the license. But like, are they going to mint League Two teams? League Two.
Stop getting me excited. Like, if this happens, the price is going to go whoop, and then I'm going to be sitting there like, yes, I'm sorry either way, because
it's one of those, like, because the biggest graveyard and scariest thing for Sorare managers is people going off to the second division or getting relegated, and it decimates prices. Now, where it gets complicated is I don't know across the board what the optic coverage is like in the second division of most. Like, obviously, maybe the big European league second divisions will be covered, but like, I don't know where that kind of goes once you get to like a Portugal second division or like a Belgium or Holland. I don't know, and like, I just think it's a really weird one because like, I just don't see how that works or how, unless it's a separate like conference. It's like you have champion challenger conference maybe.
I did think it was a weird one because they did have a similar agreement with the Bundesliga 2 last season whenever that license came in, and there's a whole lot of speculation like, oh, does this mean Bundesliga 2 is going to be covered as all my Schalke cards, because Schalke got relegated the season beforehand, so last season they're in Bundesliga 2, but they're going to be back now, so they're being promoted again back to the Bundesliga. But that was the whole talk before last season started. Would Schalke be covered? Would all the cards be absolutely fine? And it could be a very similar agreement where Set Etienne's confirmed this agreement. They're going to be licensed no matter what happens to them, so they're probably hoping to bounce back as soon as possible. And that's where Sorare probably would go and mint more as soon as they're straight back. So maybe they just have that confidence they will be back in the following season. But it's not like the championship. The championship, I'm so delighted the championship's covered in Sorare in terms of the scoring. If they brought on like and licensed the championship, that's 24 teams they'd have straight away. There's so much supply there in terms of new players, and potentially that could give like with such a huge supply, could maybe make players cheaper to try and let new players get into the game. So
but Challenger's already too big, let's say.
Challenger Conference or Conference Europe, whoever.
An interesting quote, though, from Nicholas Julia on that article from Saint Etienne on their site. It was, this is direct, verbatim, whatever. We are very happy to extend our partnership for the next 5 years. We are currently launching new sports on our platform, but continuing to offer Saint Etienne fans the opportunity to play with their favourite players was very important for us. Well, hard luck, lads. You aren't going to be able to play with your players, unless they expand the coverage. You can't play with your players.
No, or maybe it's
internationally, but like
we're excited for you to play with those players who were playing in Ligue 1, and now they're going to move somewhere else. So we're excited to offer you the chance to use them if they get transferred.
Yeah,
so
someday
maybe that could be it. So,
and then we also have another perfect little segue into Sutton. Where Jean-François Soussas, the executive chairman of ASSE, Saint Etienne, said, with more than 1 million users in nearly 200 countries, I'm not going to read the rest, with more than 1 million users in nearly 200 countries has been a bone of contention this week. So people questioning Sorare's numbers and the numbers they're throwing out there. And Nicholas Julia tweeted somewhere 1.8 million to be precise, I read. And then people were like, bullshit, prove it, man. And what people are failing to realise here is that while it is a bit of a bullshit metric, in my opinion, and I think everyone can see it, I mean, they wouldn't say that. I have no doubt that 1.8 million people have signed up to Sorare. How many of those are bots? How many of those are people that haven't looked at the game in a year? But 1.8 million people have registered to Sorare's mailing lists and site. Like,
I'm pretty sure one of them is my dog.
Not anymore.
I'm joking, I don't have a dog. I don't have a dog.
It's my cat. Yeah. But it's one of those where, like, I get why they might celebrate that, because that is a good metric of one form of success. It's how many people you're reaching and how many people are converting to sign-ups.
I definitely think in terms of like marketing, that's huge for them. Like if they can turn around and say to different sports companies and say, look, we have a platform here and we can attract 1.8 million users. They have like the hard users that register in their database. But you're right in saying like that obviously is not how many active users there is, because if you go into Sorare data and you check how many people from that 1.8 million have one blockchain card, there's only 130,000, so it's quite like a huge difference in terms of the reported numbers from Sorare and what the actual statistics are showing us from Sorare data. And I'd probably believe Sorare data over that. And another statistic I actually looked at as well. So after reading about that and seeing that question, which I thought was very good, I went and looked at the Sorare Twitter account just out of curiosity and see how many numbers there was or how many followers there was in total. But they only have 101,000 followers on Twitter. And I kind of feel like if you did have like 1.8 million users, legit users, you would be over 1 million users following you on Twitter. I know not everyone has Twitter, but I'd imagine like quite a high percentage of them would be following for the latest updates.
Yeah, the thing that kind of irks me about the whole thing is like I understand you can have your bullshit metrics, and maybe they're not bullshit. You know, there is something behind signing on 1.8 million people up. It tells you that your affiliates are amazing.
Yeah.
I'm pointing fingers at myself. I definitely am under the camera. But like outside that, like I mean, that doesn't tell you much. But what kind of annoys me is whenever they say, and again, it's probably me as an umpty, as a layman, misunderstanding the nitty gritty of the terms. But I don't think it's outrageous for me to assume that I'm like onto something, not onto something, but that I'm right in thinking this. I'm blabbering. 1.8 million registered users, and they go on like we have a better retention rate than Netflix. 70-something% or something I've seen somewhere before.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what Netflix's retention rate is. I don't know what a good retention rate is. Let me Google Netflix's retention rate. I wonder if that actually will come up. Retention rate is 83% of subscribers were retained after 1 month. What does retention actually mean? Keep users hooked on their program. Okay, so for example, if a user watches a movie that they're interested in the first month of subscription, but does not find any other good movies to watch, they may end up cancelling the sub. So, okay, so it's about keeping them for 1 month after whatever. Netflix is 83% here, apparently. So you mean to tell me Sorare has an 84% retention rate on 1.8 million users? I'm probably missing something here. But it, to me, like, I get why they do it. They're fluffing up numbers for corporate reasons, to sign new leagues, to get new teams, which is what we want, to make our case more compelling for getting the Premier League, which we all want. We're all criticising them for doing it, but we all want them to do it.
That's what I was saying. It makes perfect sense in terms of like investments. Trying to get like more investors on board, trying to get new leagues on board. It makes complete sense. But if you dive a little bit deeper, like we just add into the numbers, that's not 83% or 87% or whatever. It's more like 10%. Like they seem to have a real issue where they're getting users signed up. But in terms of converting those signups into actual paying users, it does seem to be a bit of a stumbling point. And it'd be actually really, really interesting to find out of those 1.8 million users, how many of them are actually actively playing the casual league, or how many of them are actively playing the Sorare Academy, and we don't have that information. Because that in itself would be really, really interesting in terms of the free-to-play model. Like they could go at this and twist this a different angle, like, oh yeah, you can advertise our products on the site because we have like 1.8 million users, which is great. You know, that's views on people's products, and that is a huge selling point for companies. But we don't know how many of those 1.8 are still playing. So not ideal.
You know, we are. I'm just laughing here, like we're seamlessly transitioning and segueing through everything because you mentioned the casual thing, and the casual rewards have been changed.
Yeah,
like it's almost seamless. It's like we planned this. So it will actually be interested to see. I'll be interested to see how the free-to-play model, and Nicholas says this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of like building out this free-to-play model. But basically, they've upped the rewards by like 33x. We're now got 100 rewards in the casual rewards pool as opposed to the 3. And if you listen to this podcast and if you've listened for a while, I'm not going to say this announcement was all because of me, but that is sarcasm for anyone who actually thinks they think I'm more important than I am. But I have bitched about that for a long time. It's fucking driven me mad. And a lot of people disagree. I actually don't know where you stand, and I'm interested to see what you think. But I thought 3 rewards for 100,000 people. I know there's bots. I know there's chancers, but I just thought it was a bit... like, you legitimately had more chance winning from my YouTube giveaways. And you probably still do, based on numbers.
I would definitely say
which
that's
I
the
thought
case.
was insane.
Yeah, for me, like I've been on the site since 31st October 2019. I don't think I've ever won a reward on the casual league. And I consider myself to have like a huge advantage because over the years, like I know the casual league's been changed and the free to play model's changed since I've started at the very start. But I do definitely feel like all existing users who've been there for a long time, they have the XP bonus and all their common cards, which actually gives you more of an advantage versus like a brand new sign up. So if I refer like one of my friends and tell them, look, you should sign up for Sorare, give the free to play model a go, and you stand a good chance of winning. But I feel like I'm not saying the full truth there. That I say, yeah, like these probably doesn't have a good chance of winning. Because a lot of that's luck in terms of the rewards you get, but the rewards you get is determined by the place you finish, and it's much easier to finish in a higher place if you have a higher XP bonus and better players. So I wrote about this before on Sorare Daily, which is one of these newsletters done by Fancy Gaffer. It was excellent. I did a guest piece. I just really spoke about like the need for the casual league having to get a revamp to really make it fair for everyone involved. Everyone has a blank playing field, kind of like the way Sorare Academy works. I think it works really, really well. And you go in, you pick your team every single week. Nobody has an XP bonus. So anyone who's been playing for like 6 months prior, they're not at a better advantage than you are. You can pick like the exact same team, and you're going to stand a chance basically. Whereas right now, I just kind of feel like anyone who's been playing a long time, they'll have the best common cards. Like myself, I have like tons of really good tier 0 star common cards, and that just makes it far easier for me to win. So I think this is so fundamental for Sorare in terms of converting those initial players at the start. Maybe if they get the first 2 or 3 rewards, like limited rewards, that'll be enough to spur them on to actually buy some later down the line. Because they're like, okay, I've got like a knack to this. I know how to play this game. I have confidence in my ability to navigate the SO5 gameplay or the game. And maybe that could help with the conversion ratio. So
I think, tell me this, am I wrong? I just kind of, basically, I'm a magpie and buy really nice people, and I never have teams for underdog, and I can't be arsed going and digging. Do you know what? I should really be doing that for content. I should be going digging for underdog guys and putting them in. I know that's a great video that people probably do all the time. I'll have to do that next season. But anyway, am I right in saying underdog has no bonus, like no XP?
I think it's the specialist. So the specialist, if I remember correctly, it doesn't have a bonus, but underdog still retains that bonus. So if you pick up like a card with a good bonus, it does help you in underdog.
Okay.
But it is an interesting twist in that regard.
My point is that they have the coding. You're actually the nerd here of us. People don't know that. What's your background? You know all about coding and nerdy stuff.
Yeah, a software engineer. Was the Android developer for 2 different startups. Now I basically do freelance for different companies. So doing like Android apps, iOS apps, backend, all that lovely stuff. Backend servers and all that.
He loves it. Whenever they say backend, they're properly into it. So yeah, like from my uneducated standpoint, I look at it and say whatever on the back end is there, they could very easily click a button on common and be like, no XP, lads. In the common casual league, I mean, let them have it when they're entering their threshold teams. But like, surely they could just click common casual league, no XP. And then that takes away that scrap. And I know there'll be people who be like, I've turned away XP for a year and a half and I haven't got my first limited card. And now that you've upped the rewards, all that hard work was for nothing. That's what they'll say. But like, that'll be a very small minority. And I doubt they're like a high value client anyway, if we're being absolutely brutally honest, if someone's turned away a casual only for a year and a half.
Another thing they probably could do with the casual league is reset it. So all the rewards you win in terms of common cards, I thought was reset every 3 months or every 6 months. And that means everyone's starting fresh again. So that's another way you can level up or even make it the playing field a bit more level. So
yeah, you could do that, or something that's just kind of side note that I think it will come. If I had to put my money down, but I think it just makes sense. I'd love to see in the casual division, I'd love to see all the regions so people can learn regions, start to learn what a challenger, what a champion is. I've said this before in this podcast many times, so I won't bang on about it too much, but I just think like building out that experience in total, and I'm not saying they all need 100 rewards, but like going into next season, having a bit more of an immersive Sorare SO5 experience out there, like to give people the bug and let them see why we all love it.
Yep.
Might be nice.
And I did see that came in as a question as well.
did
Whether or
it?
not this should. Yeah. So Sam, I'm gonna butcher this name. Tiggy. I don't know. Tighe.
Oh, Sam,
I'm so sorry, man.
I think
Ty.
it's
I'm
a
so.
tie.
See, that's terrible, man.
Ty.
I'm so bad. Really sorry about that. So that was an interesting question, and then I actually dove into my comment card straight after reading that, and it's really funny though because I don't have enough players on my common out of all the commons I have. I think I have like 57 or something. But I don't have enough to enter a Champion America. I still am lacking one midfielder. I don't have any midfielders in Champion America. And from my forwards, I've got 2 forwards to enter, and if it did split by all the regions, but they're both Castellanos, so I couldn't use both because I'd be repeating player. So that in itself I think it's a good idea. But
you're right.
With that, you'd have to have a revamp of how the rewards work in terms of the casual league, because you need to make it more flexible in terms of, you finished such and such a place. Now you have the ability to pick a goalkeeper, a defender, a midfielder, or a forward, and that allows you to balance out your roster in terms of
being able to pick, like if you win an all-star, being able to pick getting a choice of 3 players or something.
Exactly.
It's free to play. Like pop up 3 options on the screen and let you pick one. There would be changes needed, because I know you're bang on. Like I probably still can't put out an American team or an Asian team or whatever else. So that's a good point. But the whole thing is, like, if that was to happen, it would need a complete revamp. I think this is a good start. I think the rewards are probably the thing that people are most concerned about. But I think it's just Nicholas's comment about this is just the beginning of a new fully hype free to play mode is basically what it said. I'll be interested to see how that one goes, because it just is a nice onboarding tool, and at the minute the barrier to even beginning is very high, and the free to play didn't really count, because I wasn't going to suggest anyone plays a free to play mode where there's 3 rewards for 100,000 people. That's just stupid. And the top reward was a tier 2 madness. But they fixed it. So tier 1 limited for the winner. 10 or 9, then tier 2 limited will be given out from 2nd to 10th, and then the rest of them will get a tier 3 limited. That's a good start. Let's see where it goes. The next thing I wanted to talk about was, I seen Simply Alex stick out a wee tweet. Simply Alex does all the tweets that I should do. I might just employ him as a ghostwriter. Special edition cards should have a constant 1% bonus. I don't necessarily agree with that. It's an idea. Do you know what it is? He's saying it with his chest, and I appreciate that. You know what I mean? He's coming in and he's just stating it. He's not saying, it would be a nice idea, because that's the way I would go about it. He's coming in saying, special edition Sorare cards should have a constant 1% bonus. Worthless in the beginning because these cards are released towards the end of the year, but would reward long-term collectors by adding an extra 1%, which at the higher levels can take months to earn, is what he reckons. And I think the reason I'm bringing this up is more about the conversation about the special edition cards. There were some nice comments below that got me kind of thinking. Hy-B chirped in, he'd rather see some real-world benefits. Sorare can get plenty of match tickets, shirts, club experiences. He'd love to see some regular prize draws where only Champion Edition card holders, for example, were included. Could be creative with that. Expand to other cards or game week winners, etc. I think there's some other comments in there, but it got me thinking, when I think of other NFT projects out there, and I don't have many, I think have you more NFTs or are you more crypto? You do have other NFTs, do you?
I've got a few NFTs, but really Sorare is my main focus. I could go through the list of what I'm involved with, but I know there's a question from Alex which we can get to.
Yeah, so. We'll get there after. TC Segways are insane. We're talking about Simply Alex. We mentioned other NFTs. This episode's going to be called Segway, because this is actually seamless. It's never worked out like this, and I'm ruining the flow by talking about the flow. How ironic. Anyway. So for example, Atom Bomb Squad, that's one of the only other projects that I have a few, and I just bought them ages ago because I kind of liked it, and a few people who I trusted in the space were like, oh, this is a cool project, whatever, bought a few of them. And what they do is they have loads of different bombs with loads of different designs or colors or takes on them, and basically they're a fashion brand, so occasionally any of this type of bomb will get special access to limited edition shoes or t-shirts or jackets, and then sometimes these people will get access to special edition rug that's basically giving you that exclusivity, and it's almost like a gate, like a token gate on like special edition collectible limited items or whatever. Like that idea on Sorare kind of excites me. And again, we come up with all these beautiful ideas in this podcast and Twitter and across the community. For me, I think a lot of it's like a legwork issue, and they just don't have the manpower to make these things happen, because like you can't dispute that is engaging and fun. Now, the intricacies and the finesse of it all and exactly what it would entail, that's all up for debate, and that would be up for them to decide. But if they turned around, I think, and said like, oh yeah, Sunrise Edition cards are invited to a special Zoom meeting on blah 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 with such and such, or like all Champion Edition cards are in the draw for a Champions League match experience because of Champions. You see the link, or like I don't know. I really like that. I really like that idea.
I think that's really cool. Now tie into what they did with Real Betis and Sevilla, where they had that like supporters experience. So that meant an awful lot to those people who got involved with that, which would be really, really cool. So I agree with you. That'd be really, really awesome. But I thought it was actually an interesting like twist of like how you could modify like what happens in SO5 by going above and beyond and spending a bit more and on those collector's edition cards. It'd be interesting. I think like these are the sort of ideas where you could probably trial them out first and maybe special weekly, or you could try them out with the specialists, or you could try them out with Underdog before it goes into the live bigger game, because of the wider impact that'll have in terms of the market. But I think it's cool. It'll give me another reason why to go in and buy one myself, especially if I was looking through the market like, oh, this is the cheapest one, but the Champion Edition is only an extra 0.1 ETH. But I will always have, maybe it's not like a 1% bonus. Maybe it could always start from like 5%. I'll always have that 5%. It'll never drop lower. Like that'll be quite interesting, because it means even whenever it comes in the next season, like you're in a level playing field straight away, which is quite cool.
I think the stuff you can do around XP or guaranteed XPs or bonus XPs or whatever is cool. That's something they've never really done with any sort of special edition card. But like, even just back onto that point of like giving stuff away, draws based on those cards, like the Champion Edition card, these are collectibles that people who support those teams are probably more likely to try and buy. And what if one random, like what was it, like 10 or 50? How many like let me see, I need to go in and actually look. I'll go to Giroud, for example, right? If I go to his card edition champion, okay, there was only 11 of them. Okay, so 10 limiteds, 1 rare, right? What if, and I get it might be a logistical nightmare, but what if one of the 10 or one of the 11 Giroud Champion Edition card holders got a signed Giroud shirt and did that with all the Champion players? They have the licenses. Again, I get it's a ball ache shipping out hundreds of shirts, but I mean, like, surely that's where it has to go. Like that's fun.
Yeah.
Or even
I think that alone would be massive. Like, can you imagine get like a Danny Parejo signed shirt because you got the Champion Danny Parejo one?
I've got a Danny Parejo signed shirt.
Oh, I remember hearing that you might have been able to get one.
I got one.
On a couple of...
Well,
excellent segue again.
In hand, yeah. But like, I don't know.
I heard about this a couple of episodes back, and I remember hearing the rumor you might be able to get your hands on because you knew someone who knew him. So you left us all like in the dark. We're like, what's happening? What's coming next? Is it going to arrive or not? But I'm delighted. That's so
check
cool.
your Twitter. Check your Twitter.
Okay.
I check your DMs. I fill. But yeah, like, I mean, I have the most extensive, as Danny says on that shirt, to John Nellis, my #1 fan and biggest NFT collector. It's true.
I cannot believe I missed this. I missed this tweet. Oh my goodness, this is so
Isn't
sick.
that huge? Isn't that
That's awesome.
That's incredible.
That's like I'm just waiting for the Dicecina is going to send like a hoodwink, like a signed jersey. Yeah, like
I swear to God,
chatting to him in DMs and all. It's like, yeah, man, I got your back and all.
Like I swear, it was mad. It was mad. So yeah, like I have obviously. No, it hasn't arrived, but I trust it will be sent to me.
So it's going to be like right behind you, and
it's going to be there.
The Trent. You did have a Trent shirt, was it?
The Trent's over there. I just kind of moved it because to declutter. I was going to get like a wee neon signy thing when I kind of redid this room, but I never did. But now I've got the perfect piece. But But yeah, so like I just think like there's so many things they can do there. It's so much fun. It would make the diehards want to collect the shirt. And I mean, yeah, it would add value to the cards. It would add a reason to get them. But then outside that, I mean, the counter argument is, long term, as Sorare develops as a company, as they get more clout and more recognized, as Topps cards have, the one of ones, the one of fives, the one of tens. I know Sorare is essentially like one of one, one of 10, one of whatever's, but you could say that those champion cards, even at limited, are essentially one of tens in their own right. Long term, I mean, these could become legitimate collectibles as we go into an ever more digital age. And like maybe then, I mean, maybe you don't necessarily need the utility aspect as much as it's a lovely thing. It doesn't mean that these cards can't be worth more.
Yeah, I definitely find like the collectability starting to come already. I have seen a couple of managers who've collected all the kit number editions of all the players. Like I know Sorare on the budget did it for Dundee, which I thought was super. You looked in and it's very similar to You'll Never Walk Alone did the exact same for Liverpool, had the shirt number of every single player in terms of the rare card. And I think that's like a lovely touch. And I think it's like just a pipe dream for me to be able to do that whenever Chelsea arrive. I think like the Chelsea boys are going to be so expensive. So I don't think I'll ever be able to do that. But that's some of the things I'd like to do as well. Like, I think if you're really passionate about a club, you'd like to be able to like, yeah, I've actually got all the ones from like a particular season and I've just got it there. So
you may sell that line.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Yeah, I'm gonna have to fund it to buy Mason Mount or something and Reece James.
yeah. But Reece James, yeah, he probably, let's check him out. I'd say he just gets fullback tax, does he?
I'm not even sure. I've checked Mason Mount before, and I was like, "Yep, definitely want him in my."
Reece James scores decent now, albeit he finished the season strong with 3 assists in the last 3 games Chelsea had. But he had 200s and a 73. He had a 56 AA game, a 44 AA game. He's a Trent. Reece James is just a Trent. He's a monster there, actually.
I still under 23 as well. Come on, Nicholas. Please deliver it. Deliver
it, baby. The Premier League, yeah. Ugh. Right, I'm going to actually move us on to questions. There was another thing I was going to throw at you, but we'll leave it because it's a long, boring conversation. It's overdone at this stage. I'll leave you all wondering what that could have been. Do you know what isn't a long, overdone conversation yet, but kind of is? And again, I'm saying something. 2 things. I meant to tease this. Biggest guest ever, potentially. I think so. Definitely for this podcast, biggest guest ever. In 6
weeks. Thank you very much. Oh, I thought you were talking
to me. 6 weeks. What height are you? I met you. You're not. Yeah. That's fair. You couldn't have lost me there.
The tallest. No.
So I think this guy is probably a bit shorter than you, but I've only ever seen him on video. There's a clue.
Okay.
Ask a question. Let's play 20 questions with guests from here on out. Ask one question and I can give you yes or no.
Ooh. Is he a professional footballer?
No. Let's move on. It's not a professional footballer. Good question though. The second thing was lots and lots of people asking about this Sorare meetup on the 5th of August in London. I'm sorry, I probably got it out there too early. I just wanted people to save the date. I didn't want people to go making summer plans because it's getting to that stage. There is 100% something happening in London with lots of Sorare people on Friday night, 5th of August. And I dare say the Saturday people will be making plans to go see games. If enough people go, I love the idea of getting some 5-a-side pitches going or something. Get a wee Sorare data team. Get a So Far Sorare team. I claim Harry Trades. He's decent. Get like a Sorare team. Get the Sorare mega team. Who knows? And all the rest. But yeah, put it in the diaries. More details. You won't miss the details because I'll announce them here. I'll put them all over YouTube. I'll put them all over my Twitter. So if you follow me in places, you'll see it. But unfortunately, just waiting on people getting back to me left, right, and centre is basically what's happening. Other people trying to make decisions and make things happen to make it the best night it can be. But it's going to happen. Right. Question time. Let's go in and have a sconce. So were there any questions that jumped out at you? I'll let you rattle these off and we won't dwell too long just because we mentioned it already. Simply, Alex, what other NFT projects have you got involved in?
Yep. So I'll just rattle through a couple of them. CryptoKitties at the very start, whenever I got involved
Oh yeah.
with NFTs, just to sort of try them out. So that was back in like 2017, 2018. Crypto Space Commanders, Flower Patch. Did get involved in some artwork just with an artist called Josie. Zed run the King's NFT project, which was a rug pull, and we shall not talk any more about that.
Oh, remember that, the Lions, wasn't
Yeah,
it? Do
yeah,
you still have
exactly.
them in your wallet?
I still have them in my wallet just as a reminder of like how much of a scam it was. These lions that look like someone does smelly fart and they're just pulling faces and all. Also, Ultimate Champions is another one that I've got.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so that's the ones I have. But most of my time goes with Sorare. And I kind of even find with like Zed, like they have daily tournaments, but you have to be like very active to be able to do well in those. And Sorare sort of like fits me perfectly, where you set your teams like 2 times a week if you need to, and then you just go from there. You can spend as many hours as you want into the transfer market and Sorare data, but it's a little bit easier to maintain.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I'm trying to look what NFTs I have. I have obviously like 99% of it's in Sorare, but outside that, I have Atom Bomb Squad, 3 of them. Ludo Labs, I've got a couple of Ludo Labs things. This random one, Dava, I bought one of them. Just I don't even know why. I got a Ludo Labs add-on, got airdrop this week Christmas one. I've got a Vayner Sports Pass. I bought one of them. Just I didn't know what that'll entail, but I know that those Vayner guys like to deliver utility, so hopefully there's some sort of sportsy, soccery utility someday with that. And I got a Foodium Club, and then I have some Meta League cards. A lot of these, to be fair, the football ones have been like given to me as like an influencer. I did little air quotes there for anyone listening and not seeing it. So like I haven't necessarily went and bought a lot of these, but like it's nice having exposure to them, particularly in the football space. But
for those ones, I don't feel like I know enough or I'm confident enough that if I put money into it, I would be able to sell it at a profit. And with that, until I swear I'm confident in that regard, I'm very, very picky where I put my ETH and where I spend my ETH these days. Because if I'm spending it somewhere like like Futura or like Ultimate Champions or Zed, then that's something I could have been putting into Sorare instead. So it needs to be worthwhile.
Yeah, Futura is a fun one. I don't have any of theirs, but like I think
I've been watching it.
Thing.
Yeah, I think it's really cool the way you can vote in different things. I love the way that you could vote in like the crest, the kits, and the designs and stuff like that. But again, like in terms of like, is there real value? Could you sell those NFTs for profit like down the line? I think what would be pretty cool is maybe in about 10 years time you could say, oh, I owned one of the first NFTs and I had the shirt from the very first season they were established. Like that, you would have sort of like a exclusive club there, and you'd be like one of these early adopters, which would be really, really cool. But yeah, I haven't taken the plunge. I've just been sort of tracking it and following it and seeing what's going on.
Like, I know that they probably know. There's no probably about it way more about all this than me because they're living in it. But when I look at them, I almost look, and again, I could just be full of shit. I don't think I am, though. I think they need to look at themselves more as like a content production company where their YouTube produces content and makes you build relationships with those players. Live streams, 2-minute videos of players and little photos across socials isn't enough. I think really doubling down on YouTube, putting like money into your production, get a really good camera or 3, some mics, and get some. And I'm sure over there you'd get some decent like people who want to learn how to do that and be good at it. Cheap as chips. Get a wee mini production company, stick a few grand at them over the course of the year, and just let them run a YouTube and pump it into it. Like, because I don't know, I just look at that and I'm like, I don't know how people want to get involved or build relationships with that club without knowing what that club's at. And the only way you do that is through content. And maybe they're doing it elsewhere. I just look at YouTube. Maybe they've got a booming Twitch channel, but like, I don't know.
Well, one of the things I like is they do live stream the games and stuff for all their members. So it is really nice that you can sort of track what's going on. But whenever you have like one NFT, you are voting alongside the other NFT holders. So your voting power there is actually quite small. And that's one of the things I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about that. But yeah.
But imagine, again, this isn't a Futera United podcast. So we'll move on to another question in 1 second, but this is a closing statement on that. Like, it would interest me more as like a fan if it was like, like mini docu-series type stuff. I never watched any of that hashtag United stuff or any of that. I imagine that's what it was like though. Kind of following the team, letting you know the players, almost Drive to Survive, that kind of letting you know what's going on across the board. This new guy's just signed. Is this a big thing for him? Where does he come from? What's he about? Like, is he, building a relationship with the whole club? And then maybe, as NFT holders, the community will be like, this kid, God love him, like underdog, let's let him play the next game. We want him to start, give him his chance. And then, stories and narratives are built and beautiful things can come of that. But anyway, that's me just talking shit and dreaming. McBride Ace has asked, how would you address the free-to-play model, or what would you do to help users on a smaller budget process via skill and not just money? Progress via skill, not just money.
Yeah. So we really basically talked about this, revamping the casual league, resetting everyone back to the even level playing field. The new rewards is perfect. Giving more rewards to people is great. The only other thing I think which would be really cool as a side game. I don't know if Sorare could do this legally. So that's why I'm suggesting maybe a third party does this instead. But have FPL, but for Sorare licensed leagues. So you could have like basically the exact same FPL model where you get the same points scored for the FPL, but do it for like the Belgian league or do it for MLS. And then at the end of the year, so everyone's got like the same idea, everyone knows how FPL works. You reward like say the top 1,000 with a limited card. So the top 100 from those 1,000 get tiered like a star limited reward. And that's something different. That's to keep the engagement and keep like a like banter between friends. Like, oh look, I've overtaken you in the leaderboard this week. Blah blah blah. Going from there. So yeah, probably cool to see that.
We know like the FPL model works. We know that like, let's say they get the Premier League, you get a lot of FPL managers who would do that, but then would they all just stay in the free-to-play model and never transition to Sorare because they're not learning that game? There's a lot to think about, but like, I do think like side games are. I was only talking about this recently. Like when I'm live streaming and all, unless I have rewards to open teams to build or a budget to spend, like there's nothing else you can really do other than just digging around the trenches. Like more straight at like, I don't know, not necessarily looking for a quick endorphin hit, but kind of looking for a quick endorphin hit potentially. Challenges and stuff and reasons to be on the site and reasons to be digging around and finding bargains and being creative. Some sort of like chemistry model like FIFA Ultimate Team has that you've built in challenges, and I don't know, something around all that, things to keep you engaged.
Are you telling me you don't have Sorare data open every single day? Because like I feel like that's like, and that's like the engagement there. It's like I'm sitting there and just like looking at all the players I would sign if I had like a limited ETH.
I know.
One day, and like he was slowing well there, and if I could build a player or build a team for this week and just get this game week only this year, buy and all that. So
I suppose like I could probably do more. I think whenever I'm clicking around and all, I do so much of it in my own time. Like when I'm just like, oh, I wonder what he's at, or oh, we see a rumor, or oh, wonder what he's worth, or oh, he might be nice. But then whenever you actually sit down to like stream or do something, it can be often a bit of you're trying to like claw things to do whenever you've already built your teams, opened your rewards, and spent all your ETH. But anyway, maybe that's me taking away from that question. We kind of talked about it already. We'll see what other questions there are.
I think it's a great question as well. It's very, very important at the same time, like that free-to-play model and converting users. So it's really good.
Yeah, and that's why we praise, I suppose, the increase in rewards so much, because like not everyone rocks up with an ETH to spend, 10 ETH to spend, whatever. MDJ said, Mr. Community, if you were offered a role at Sorare like head of community or similar, what would you change or what new things would you want to implement? So for people who don't know, I suppose, did you used to have a role with them, or is it just the Reddit you did?
I was volunteering, so I helped out with Reddit. Just help moderating, posting content from different content creators and sharing stuff. And also created like a Twitter community for everyone to follow, like Sorare content producers or anyone who want to engage in terms of Sorare discussions. So part of the reason why I did that is I really feel like the community is extremely strong. There's so many talented content producers out there. And unfortunately, I don't have enough time to consume all that content. But really, whenever you have a place to curate these and like send them out, I kind of find like if I was head of community, I would sort of promote that a lot more. I did take a scroll through their timeline on Twitter, and it's kind of shocked me that there wasn't retweets of, oh, look at this newsletter from one of our top content creators, or look at this YouTube video where they're recommending some of the players here. And maybe there is a legal reason why they can't do that, but they've never disclosed that, and that's why I sort of question why it's not been done. The only other thing I would sort of really suggest is we were told they were going to have constant communication with the community, and I knew there was going to be like a newsletter that would go out quite frequently. I did see one come out for April, and I did not see one for May. I'm not sure if maybe there's something weird with my inbox and my mail. So, John, if you have it in your so if you have like the newsletter, it's called the Snapshot. So I had to look through it and look through for it today because I was like, oh, maybe it just like went to my junk or something. And there is a chance that it did go into junk for my emails. And that's why I'm just asking you, like, if you've noticed it come through your emails.
Really? No.
Yeah. So if it hasn't come through your emails, then I'm sort of wondering, like, what's happening to this, because this is where they're going to say, like, we're going to have a monthly newsletter. And if it is going to people's junk mail, then that's actually a problem they need to fix, because the first one was somehow fine to me. So
yeah, no, I'm not seeing anything there personally, like.
I think that's the two major ones, and apart from that, I'd definitely bring back the reactions to the Discord, because he doesn't love seeing pip emojis, clown faces, and popcorn. So it's always great. Oh, and you'd have to like I'd definitely bring on Coutinho to do all the memes.
Yeah, they've started to lean into memes.
Yeah, I've seen that, and I was like, oh, like I thought it was him, and then he was like, no, it's not me, and I was like,
I met Chief Meme Guy in New York. When I was there, I went to their office. I met Chief Meme Guy. I forget his name. I met a few people that day in there, but I shook the hand of Sorare Meme Guy.
Okay, yeah. Was it Coutinho? No,
it wasn't him. I can confirm.
Okay.
I know what he looks like. I know who he is. So,
okay.
Yeah, but no, I think it's one of those where, like, I don't know. I think like Nicholas and Sorare do engage with my tweets enough for me to be like satisfied personally. I don't know about all the other people who make content. I think one thing I know that's an issue for them is, like, if I make a video and I angle it towards money or making money or the financial side, they steer clear a million miles, because that's not what they're about. It's about collectability and the fantasy game. But like outside that, I mean, the thing I'd like to see is, and again, how do I say this? I feel like they've helped me more than most of the Sorare content creators, and I feel like that's true. You know, they have, and I'm talking about in terms of actual things like tickets or trips or that. I'm not talking about a retweet. You know, I'm talking about that. And in reality, all I've received from them was help getting those tickets for the VIP trip to Barcelona.
Yeah.
You know, outside that, look, okay, this sounds a bit ungrateful, right? It does. But I think whenever I'm trying to make content and I'm putting thousands into the production of that myself in terms of flights, accommodation, cameraman, editing, you know, outside the Barcelona tickets, you know, the tickets to go to the games of Quinny, like, we had ticket cards, you know, so technically we were owed them to La Liga, if we're being, and like, they weren't premium seats or anything, you know, they were just seats. And then outside that, in fairness, in Orlando, you know, they hooked us up. I think they didn't get the seats for us at all. PSU sorted them out, but they did get merch sent to us, so it was worth it.
Yeah. That's the thing I wasn't aware of. I wasn't sure, like, if they were helping out with that, and if they're not, then this is the sort of thing like they must have links to help out the community content creators.
Go ahead. What I say is, like, because I've been there, I've had those conversations, because I really do want, like, tickets to good games to make good content. You know, as much as you might think people do, people don't want to see me go to a game. People probably don't even want to see me go to any games, but I like going to them. Zwolle versus Go Ahead Eagles. You know, it needs to be the Ajax Feyenoord. It needs to be the Dortmund versus Munich Leverkusen or something like that. It needs to be a big game. I mean, I think for what it's worth, I do think, like, the intention is there, particularly from McDonald, the community manager. I think the intent is there. I think it's not like they're trying to hold things back or be stingy bastards. I think they genuinely want to help out as much as they can. I think, again, it goes back to, there's no, like, dedicated team to manage that. And I am just one of probably 10 English-speaking content creators badgering for stuff, never mind the French, the Spanish, the Italian, the Belgian, the Dutch, the Americans. So, like, I understand it when you look at it from that point that maybe it's harder for them to deliver all the stuff, but I do think they want to help as much as they can, and when they can, they will. It is more of a logistical problem, I think.
Yeah.
Because they've definitely helped, but...
Yeah, I do look at that, and I just sort of think like the budget in which they probably spend in terms of marketing, like advertising boards with the La Liga and different stadiums and everything else. I know that's going to cost like a huge amount of money, and it's great because it gives the eyes of so many different people. But even if you could turn around and be like, oh, Sorare actually supplied one rare card for me to give away, and then they also supplied like tickets to go to this game, pay for all accommodation. Like you can sort of see where that could actually encourage other content creators, but like, you know what? I want to be like John Ellis. I want to go and create like lots of great content for Sorare, and then I get to have the same sort of experiences. That's free marketing for them. Like straight out the way, like they're getting people going off, spending their hours, working their ass off. And that's where I kind of feel like there's all these people who are spending so much time like writing up blogs, newsletters, producing videos, and the quality's there. The quality's really, really good. And even to like include like one of you guys or one of you girls or whoever's involved, the likes of that La Liga reveal where they have people in studios and wherever else, to have one of you do like an intro video or just be featured, to have your face there. And I think that would be like a huge reward because you're getting exposure as well, as a way of saying like a thank you. But
like this is something I've banged on about a bit in the past. I don't know if I've banged on about it as much in like a public forum like this, but like that La Liga launch, like, okay, I wasn't quite as in it as I was, but even like Quinn was pretty diehard into making content then. Like Hybe and Marcus, whatever, a lot of listeners, they're quite polarizing characters in the community, but like, they've been plugging out a Sorare podcast for however long.
Yeah.
I mean, in fairness, I think the output I've put out this year has been much improved. I mean, there's been five videos a week since January, but like when I looked at that and I seen some guy called Thogged in there, and like 2-3 other influencers, and while I completely understand why that is, and it's trying to reach new audiences and promote Sorare and the league, I completely understand it. I'm not naive, but equally I do feel like opportunities like that, there is space for influencers across the board or content creators in the Sorare space to kind of be rewarded maybe for the effort throughout the year. And, as you say, get that experience. And I kind of break the content into two sort of sections in my head. There's sort of like onboarding content and there's engaging content. So there's the onboarding stuff, which is where you let people realize what Sorare is and maybe they'll sign up. And then there's the engaging one, which is where the retention comes in and people spend the money and having fun and enjoying the platform and building the community. I think the reason you see every dickhead with a shocked face and 7 reasons not to join Sorare is because that's the only type of content that pays currently. Because that's where you get the affiliate signups. It doesn't actually matter to anyone who makes content what you do or your engagement apart from sign up, because that's the only thing they'll get paid for. The views aren't there yet to get paid for the rest. There's no ads coming in. Like, I think I'm probably one of the bigger English speaking YouTubers. And I mean, my ads from last month might have been 200 quid, 100 quid. Whenever that's 20 something videos going out, it's not a lot when you really break it down. So I think like having more motivation, reason, help, until Sorare reaches, I think what they think is like, you're going to do it anyway, and we're going to get 1 million users someday, and then you'll be big enough, where you can pay for yourself. But at the minute, I'm finding it very hard. I don't think I can sustain doing the vlog stuff.
Yeah, because I know you've spoke about it in the past where you're working full time, you're trying to churn out as much content as possible, and it's all about. And I think it's like whenever you're churning out as much content as you are, it's a lot of pressure to keep delivering same quality, same high standard every single time. And that's why I'll just make a point of it, like that this should be promoted more, it should be celebrated more. But that's just my opinion. So
yeah, and obviously I'm very biased. There's people listening thinking, oh, Jesus Christ, you're having a ball. People are, last year was a good year. A lot of people used to link it all, but that all expires eventually. And the boom was over a year ago. A lot of those signups are gone. So it's one of those now where it's like, going over doing it, like what I think is quite engaging content with vlogs and things, the more marquee videos. I want to do videos where you do almost Mr. Beast style stuff that's a bit more fun with Sorare cards that could maybe strike virality and go a bit further than the 3,000 viewer ceiling that Sorare content seems to have at the minute. But like trying to do all that at the minute's tough because it doesn't pay. You know, it just, to be frank, it doesn't. So like that's why when people are like looking at YouTube, all you'll see is the shocked face and the things I wish I'd known. 5 must nots. Oops, no way you did that. You'll win more if you do this. You know, that's all, you know. So like for my channel, it's about balancing that, but also putting out the fun stuff. So like I normally have like, I think on Mondays, videos might be more that way, like the tutorial stuff. I might put out like a tutorial video a week, but then the other 4 videos are more kind of engaging stuff. But look, I'm doing it because I hope it keeps growing and keeps growing. At the end of the day, I'm enjoying it. But like, yeah, I do think like, again, all these issues, I actually do, from speaking to them, think they have the best of intent, and I don't blame them. I don't think they're letting down the content creators that serve them. But like, I do feel that like if they had more employees or a team that managed this, they would deliver more. And I think that's kind of the important part, because then I feel like someday it'll happen.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They have to get access to players. They have to, with all these licenses, they have to be able to flip that switch. And if they aren't going to make videos on it, which they did with the Sevilla Betis one.
Yeah, that's the one I always think back to, is like Sevilla Betis. It's like if they got access to that, then, you know, there has to be more.
Exactly. But we'll see. Santai, I think that's how you say it. Do you think there should, I might just say Tiggy just to piss him off though. Santiggy. Do you think there should be more than one common league? We've already answered that, but just to annoy him. Let's see. Sorare Siege. What do you think of the 1.8 million users stated by Nicholas? What criteria do you think these? We've answered that. But yeah, fair play. Good man submitting the question. Winger MK. I'm going to bash this one out. Mark, if you found that butt in, but otherwise we'll move on. Winger MK. How would you feel about an under 23 sticker or signing cards to help distinguish them and maybe make them more collectible? Now that sign does exist. It's not on the card, but it's below it. You'll see the under 23 eligible badge. If you're talking about collectability, that's quite literally what the rookie card is for. It's signifying their first season. Just because someone's under 23 doesn't actually really matter in the world of football, apart from in Sorare. But what does matter in the world of collectibles is rookies. So I think they've ticked that box personally. That's my opinion.
The only thing I would add into that as well is that it allows them to be more flexible when it comes to if they want to change the goalposts in terms of like the barriers. Maybe they want to move away from under 23s and go back to, I think it was originally under 21s at the start. So if they decide to do that now, especially with the supply of players increasing massively, so there's way more under 21s available, then, you know, they're fit enough to do that as long as they don't mint onto the card. So
I mean, like, the players have their age on the card, so I mean, you don't need to tell us under 23. We can see they're under 23 at the time of that card, and I think it could just be misleading long term if it's no longer a big factor. And so rare that would be long term, you'd like to think. Bang this one out for me just on time. Kane James, what's your preferred choice for a World Cup goalkeeper?
Allison.
Allison, yeah, I think that's
so.
Great choice.
I'll tell you why. 10 games, 7 clean sheets. That's mine. So the last 10 games for Brazil. Yeah.
Allison, it is then. I was going to say like whoever's nailed for France, it's probably going to be Lloris, maybe his last one.
Yeah. But, I did look at them, but like they had like conceded quite a few goals, like even against like Denmark they had conceded. Oh, yeah? And I also had high hopes for Donnarumma and OKE, but of course Ghana or Nigeria, sorry, and Italy did not qualify. So yeah, that was heartbreaking for me.
Heartbreaking.
So,
yeah. I have Donnarumma limited and rare, so it was heartbreaking for me too. Quolet, QOELET.eth. Why do you think under 23s are so popular? They lose value when they hit 24, and players usually hit their football and best a few years later. The rewards on offer, isn't it?
Yeah, it has to be the rewards.
Young players in the world.
The rewards, and also you have the longest amount of time available to have your investment pay off. Whereas if you buy like someone who's 30 years old, someone peak their career, like for example, a prime example that would be Benzema. He's in the form of his life, but how many more years has he got before he has like a really bad injury, or his form starts to deteriorate? Especially if you're buying him right at the peak, and it's going to be really hard to sell him at a similar price. And then by that stage, once he is retired, you have to have made back what he cost you in terms of investment, in terms like your rewards has to equal that. So that's one of the reasons, the rewards, and you know, you got so much time to play with those cards. So
Yep, no, that explains it all. Bang on. I mean, they are maybe a wee bit overhyped, but I mean, like, all those reasons are bang on. Let me see. CJ Andrews, with West Ham and Liverpool having a year of cards and apparently not renewing those agreements, did something with those relationships jeopardize Sorare's chances of landing the whole Prem? I think that's conspiracy theory stuff, to be honest. I mean, we have there's a million reasons why they might not have been renewed.
yeah, I think this is.
I think actually, sorry to butt in, was there not? I think the whole reason for this was that Panini had something in place for their license that whatever happened, basically Sorare could only get one club per year. That was quite literally it. It was based on Panini's existing license and the physical cards, is what I heard.
And then there was the Premier League license, which went up for auction, but we don't know the whole ins and outs of what happened with that. So this is like a business
let's hope
stuff.
They've got it.
Yeah, I don't know really what to say about this because we don't have the information. Just hopefully they'll be releasing the Premier League in the next year.
Shout out to I think we've got around every question apart from one. Shout out to Sorare Addicted who dropped a comment. The last one to wrap up. What do you think? This is from Sorare Israel. What do you think will happen if Sorare land the Prem? So if it happens, what do you think happens? I'm going to try and keep this short. I'm going to do 137 now. I have to go to work.
Oh, and there's one other question after this. So I think I'll go to the bin. The prices will explode. Where a lot of the players, there'll just be way more managers come on board. Just because of the exposure the Premier League has, and that in turn will create more demand, which will increase the prices of everyone pretty much. So, the other question that I said it.
Sorry, go ahead. Just chuck in. I said it like last couple of weeks ago. Like I think actually more money initially on the announcement will come in from Sorare users. You know, like if you have ETH in a balance mark and you're there and you see that announcement, you're probably going to go in and snap by a few guys who you've been hemming and hawing about. And I think everyone will be spunking that ETH balance, waiting for the market that comes to the Prem, waiting for the outrage on tabloids. 500, 600 million for an NFT license. NFTs are a scam. Outrage market, and it'll work a dream. So yeah, I think like every one of us are the ones that'll actually fuel that economy initially. But anyway, what was your next one? There was another question.
So the last question
is
FI Gardner. I've seen that. Can you name 3 players you're going to rocket in price if they get transferred this summer? I love questions like these because I think like you have to spend a bit of time going into the market. I know you're short for time, so I'm going to rattle through some players. Alexander Maximenko, former number 1 of Spartak Moscow, once sold for 1.2 ETH. He's now 0.255 ETH. If he's no longer first choice at Spartak Moscow, I can't imagine he's going to be happy sitting on the bench. So I would imagine he would want to get a transfer. And hopefully people can understand that I'm actually rattling through this explanation.
No, but that's good. That's what people want.
The other one's Keshel Sherpun, the goalkeeper on loan from Brighton. He went to KV Ostend at the end of last season, from January to the end of the season. And he was playing very well for them, so well that he took out the guy who was actually playing very well on nets for them before he joined. So that was only till the end of the season. He could get another really kick-ass loan, and his price is 0.699 ETH, which in terms of under 23 goalkeepers, extremely cheap. So you can expect his price to perhaps double if he gets a good loan move. Karo Matoma went on loan to Royal St. Union, or whatever team, call that team in Belgium. I can't remember the name of them. On loan from Brighton. Credible scorer for Kawasaki Frontale before he moved to Brighton. If he gets another really good loan, then his value is going to skyrocket from 0.29 ETH, which is what I've seen him this afternoon. The last one which I'm going to bring up here is David Nerez. So he formerly of Ajax, now at Shakhtar. He's looking for a new club based on what else is going on, unfortunately, in Ukraine. He's been rumored with Benfica and Juventus. If he gets a move to Benfica as the number 1 striker, that's 0.39 ETH is going to be seen very cheap if he's starting and buying them in. So just roll through them.
Confess, baby.
And disclaimer, I actually do not own any of them. I was going to pump one of the players I just bought before I came on here. I'm not going to do that because I don't want people like, oh yeah, just pumping all the players, whoever. So.
Well, you brought that up knowing that I do it for you, didn't you? Like you scumbag.
No, you don't have to say it. No.
Lanez, Ulysses. That's a weird. You say that name. That's a fun one for you to try.
I can't even say his name, and I can't find him on my screen, so I need to look for
Ulysses Lanez. Ulcis Lenez. I don't know. You can go and check out Markelele's transaction history, and he's been buying them all so we could pump them on the podcast. It's actually uncanny. Like, he literally bought them 4 hours ago, just before coming on the podcast, so he could pump them. Scumbag. But we'll finish with the 137 game. So last week, Bob Flynn had a bit of a howler. He got 54 points. One of his guys DMP'd. So he actually won £0 for charity, €0 for charity. But Bob very kindly last week, fair play to him, decided to match the total up to that point. So me and Bob will be given 94 quid to charity based on the previous weeks. Now, Mark, the rules have changed. You can pick as many players as you want. And I explained to you before, basically, you're going as close to 137 as you can.
Yep. So I'm going to go for Donnarumma and Vitor Ferreira. So Donnarumma for Italy and Vitor Ferreira for Portugal. Vitor
Ferreira. Okay. Well, look, best of luck with that. I hope it works out for you. It's been an absolute pleasure. Do you want to plug anything before you go? Do you want to plug maybe that group on Twitter or?
Yeah, anything? So if you just want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Mark O'Sullivan94. That's probably the best way to reach me. But that's it. So thanks for bringing me on. That was great catching up again. So
yeah, no, it's good fun. Good fun. Hopefully people could distinguish the voices. But yeah, go check out Mark on Twitter. I'm sure you'll be back on again soon, I'm sure.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Cheerio. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode. It was great catching up with Mark. Don't forget to like the video before you leave, subscribe to the channel, and follow us on socials, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.